So we now have, lo and behold, what a surprise, we have audio with subtitles of the confrontation between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren that happened on stage at the end of Tuesday night's Democratic presidential debate. There is so much to say about this. I showed the video to you yesterday, and we are showing it again now, of this moment after the debate during which Bernie denied having told Elizabeth Warren that a woman can't be president. And Elizabeth Warren completely ignoring that, reacting to how she felt when Bernie told her that day that a woman cannot be president. So at the end of the debate, Elizabeth Warren went over to Bernie. Bernie extended his hand for a handshake. Warren refused to shake it and said something which led to a brief confrontation before Bernie kind of did a forget it sign and then walked away. We now have a version with audio and subtitles telling us exactly what was said. And I want to divide the analysis into two parts, and then we're moving the hell on from this, okay? First is the content, and then is the context, because both deserve some discussion here. To start with, let's look at the 16 seconds in question that took place right after the debate, now with audio and subtitles.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that discussion. You called me, you told me. All right, let's not do it now.
I don't want to get in the middle of it. I just want to say hi, Bernie.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Okay, so Elizabeth Warren accuses Bernie of calling her a liar on national TV. Bernie says, well, you called me a liar, and then quickly says, let's not do this right now. We can do this at some other point, and then walks away. So before we move on to the serious stuff, by the way, fanboy Tom Steyer saying, hey, Bernie, just saying hi. And Bernie's reaction of, yeah, good, okay, is hilarious. It's like a kid awkwardly asking about having a cookie while mom and dad are arguing with each other. But let's get on to the analysis. Let's first analyze the content. If we assume that everybody is acting in good faith, first of all, and then we'll get to that, we've been trying to figure out, Bernie says he didn't say it. Warren says he did say it. It's hard to imagine that Bernie's belief is women can't be president. So maybe there was something more that explains the whole thing. So at its face, if you ask me what's the most likely scenario, if we assume everyone's acting in good faith, and hold that for a second, we'll get back to that. The most likely scenario is the reason why they both say the other is lying is that both Bernie and Warren believe that they remember it going different ways. Bernie believes he didn't say it, and Warren believes that she did say it, or they have totally different understandings of what the context was. Neither one of them likely remembers the word for word of what was said. This was well over a year ago at this point. They have different understandings of what was meant or implied. It doesn't change that it's a fabricated controversy that only helps Joe Biden. It seems to have been crafted by CNN, but that's at least an explanation as to if they both are in good faith saying, you're lying. No, you're lying. The most likely scenario is they don't exactly remember. They have different interpretations of the context, and both believe that they are telling the truth. Here's where it starts to get slippery for me, and this is where we have to add in the context and other things that we know. Warren knew that she was mic'd up at this point when this took place on stage. Every politician knows that when the show ends and it's been 15 seconds and you're still wearing a mic and the room is filled with cameras, you operate as if you are being recorded. And she was being recorded, and she chose to do this while mic'd in front of a camera just seconds after the debate. The crowd is still clapping. Warren is front and center. She confronts Bernie Sanders. She knows exactly what she's doing. While Bernie is going in for a handshake, he seems genuinely surprised that she's doing this on stage and says, let's discuss it later. So for me, it's every indication that any disagreement about what was actually said is being handled in the most public way possible by Elizabeth Warren, which suggests, or at least makes me question, whether this was a crafted and coordinated campaign between the Warren campaign and CNN. By the way, here's a clip of CNN's Aaron Burnett actually saying the Warren campaign leaked this to CNN. Take a look.
Warren had no problem with this story yesterday. It was clearly leaked by her team to CNN. It came out more than a year after the meeting. It came out on the eve of a debate. This is pretty clear. She knew about this. She sanctioned it. Everything around it indicates that. Why is she pumping the brakes now, indicating don't want to talk about this anymore? We're all cool.
Because this is probably the last thing she wants to talk to Iowans about before they vote.
So then a couple of thoughts on the outcome, because that's really what matters here. First of all, It's irresponsible not to mention the context, okay? There is no chance in hell that the conversation was an isolated statement by Bernie, where Bernie said women can't win the presidency. And Warren says, I think a woman can win. And that's the full conversation. Nobody clarifies anything. Does Bernie mean women cannot be president in some kind of base way, which seems inconceivable? Does he mean sexism and Trumpists in 2020 would make it tough for a woman to win, which is a reasonable opinion to have. You could agree, disagree, but okay. And that being said, Warren, when this was brought up during the debate on Tuesday, Warren said that she knows her friend Bernie. Bernie is her friend. If she knows him the way she claims to, she should be saying, hold on a second. Based on my long friendship with Bernie, he would never suggest women cannot do the job of president, that they cannot win an election. This was a misunderstanding about strategy, but Bernie is not a sexist. And she hasn't done that, which is another sign that the Warren campaign is participating in this. If this ends up being a Biden-Warren ticket, like if Biden ends up being the nominee and selects Elizabeth Warren as his running mate, I think circumstantially it would throw more fuel on the fire that makes us question what coordination went into this. But the more important thing here is this doesn't seem to be helping Elizabeth Warren. It's also not likely to help Bernie Sanders much either. As I said before, the entire narrative fills corporate media with other stuff. It takes attention off of Joe Biden offering basically a status quo center-left platform that is not what millions of Americans want, but it is what the elites want. It's what the DNC wants. It's what is really the underlying goal here. This all reinforces Joe Biden, and it's working very, very well. I know that the David Pakman Show audience is full of curious and creative people who love learning new things and bettering themselves. And that's why I'm so excited to tell you about one of our sponsors, Skillshare, the vibrant online learning community that offers thousands of classes on almost any topic you can imagine. And you'll get full access to the entire library of classes for 2 entire months free when you go to davidpakman.com/skill. All of the classes are taught by experts in their fields. They've got classes on drawing, painting, photography, video editing, web design, bookkeeping, marketing, personal productivity. Doesn't even scratch the surface. I recently took a class about photography. If anybody follows me on Instagram, you know that my photography skills leave much to be desired. And it was great. I got so much out of it. And hopefully you will see the fruits of me taking that class reflected in my Instagram pictures sooner than later. They have classes for every skill level, whether you're wanting to get better at something you already have experience with, you want to learn something totally new to you. You set your own pace. Classes are usually less than an hour long. They're divided up into bite-sized segments so you can easily fit them into your schedule. Make 2020 a year where you explore new skills, deepen existing passions, get lost in creativity. Skillshare really makes it easier than ever. Skillshare memberships are less than $10 a month, and that gives you access to the thousands of classes they offer. But everybody in the David Pakman Show audience gets a Skillshare membership totally free for 2 whole months. Just go to davidpakman.com/skill. That's davidpakman.com/SKILL.